Good morning, Vernon. My name is Karen Davino. I am the Superintendent of Schools, and next to me is Dr. McKay, Assistant Superintendent of Schools.
Hello, Vernon. Happy fall.
We are so excited to be with you, and today we decided we are not going to talk about COVID at all.
At all.
Even though we have our masks on and we're being safe, of course, here in school.
Of course.
But there are so many wonderful things happening, and it's been a while since we've
Yes.
had a conversation purely about positive things happening in the school district. And we really wanted to get this out to you so that you could hear about all the great things. So, Dr. McKay,
It's been
Yes.
it's been an amazing couple of
I
weeks,
know.
and we had to stop and say, Vernon, we're so proud of you. There's
Yeah.
so much going on, and our teachers are working so hard, and we just have seen some great things in the last couple of weeks in which we just wanted to call your attention to. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is the Hall of Fame dinner that was at
and
Red
that's the
Tail
Athletic
Lodge.
Hall of Fame dinner,
The
and that
Athletic
only
Hall of Fame.
happens, every couple of years
This
or
is
something?
this is the inaugural class. It was put together by Mr. Foley and an entire community of ex-coaches, ex-athletic directors, ex-teachers who put this all together. And it was Saturday evening, and it was spectacular. They brought the athletes back who are now mature adults,
Yes.
successful in the world,
Successful.
in their 40s and 50s, and they were talking about their times in Vernon. For someone who's been here a long time, it was just a joy to hear these people and see how their lives have turned out, and also the coaches that coached for years. So I'd just like to kudos to Mr. Foley,
Absolutely.
the entire team that put together that dinner and have put together the Athletic Hall of Fame. If you're interested in seeing any of that, we'll show you some pictures at the end
Yes.
of this podcast. But it really was a terrific evening for everyone involved. There was about 300 people there, so it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Now, across town,
Yes.
you were Music in the Mountains.
I was here, and I was just going to say, before we pivot from athletics to music, I mean, the reason we wanted to talk about both of these things and everything else is that athletics is so important
Yes,
to
it
the
is.
development
Yes,
of our
it is.
children,
Yes,
right?
it
So
is.
that's why I wanted you to highlight the dinner.
Yeah.
It's so important to the development of our young men and women. They have the chance to be competitive.
Yes.
They have the chance to time manage, get physically fit. There's a whole lot of great, wonderful things happening in sports. And there's also good things happening in music. I was at the Music in the Mountains
Yep.
competition. The Marching Vikings hosted their band competition, finally not interrupted by COVID.
Yes.
And they are actually headed off to the Bernie Crum Stadium in Pennsylvania this weekend for nationals. So
Fantastic.
congratulations to them.
Yep.
Again, more opportunities for our students to excel by being together, which was the most important thing for the two of us about opening our schools for the school year.
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely. And all those experiences that children are having, whether it's on the athletic field
Yep.
or whether it's in music or any after-school activity. And for those parents that don't have their children in high school yet, know that that's coming. But also there's a lot of activities that are happening in Lounsbury Hollow and Glen Meadow, etc., that we want our children to be involved with, because that's the real essence. Karen and I talk about this all the time, the real essence of all that we do, right,
Yeah.
Ms. Davino?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So two other really exciting things happening in sports.
Yep.
Our ladies field hockey team today, Monday, we're shooting this on a Monday. Hopefully you see it later on this evening, but our ladies field hockey is headed off to West Morris this afternoon. So best of luck to them. This is a state tournament, right?
Yes, it is.
And we wish them the best. They've been playing really, really well. And another team that's been playing well is our
Football team.
football team.
Congratulations to them on their record. They are now 6-3.
Yep.
And congratulations again to all the teams this past spring. I know that volleyball did really
Yes.
well, and it was just a great fall in Vernon. The soccer teams, boy,
Yeah,
it's an
really
exciting time to
outstanding.
be here.
And
Yeah.
remember, we're able to do this because we're here, right? And as difficult as this school year is, the importance of kids being together with teachers and coaches is really what we wanted to talk
Yes.
about.
Yes.
So last week, I have to turn the tables a little bit. Dr. McKay, for those of you who don't know, is also the acting principal down at Walnut Ridge, because we do have some pre-K youngsters down there. Chuck, what did you do? We didn't do pumpkin painting at Walnut Ridge this year. Tell our friends in Vernon about the exciting, maybe new tradition
It
that
is
we
a-
had.
let's hope it's a new
Yes,
tradition.
I think it's going to be in Walnut Ridge.
Okay, so clearly, as the new acting principal of this building, I had ideas on what we wanted to do with the kids. And we have these wonderful group of young people, age 4, and some of them are 5. And we have about 100 students here. We have 5 different classes. AM and PM. And what we decided to do was to connect them with some high school students.
Excellent.
So there's this wonderful program up at the high school, Construction Facilities and Maintenance, and that program is run by Mr. Dominic Demsek. So I contacted Mr. Demsek and asked him if he would construct 2 huge pumpkin chuckers. If you've ever seen them, they launch pumpkins. And of course, his team of 14 students, male and female,
Yep.
built these, delivered them down here, and then last Thursday, they came down on a beautiful fall day, and we were in the back, and I'll show you some video of this, and we chucked over 120
It was
pumpkins.
excellent.
And the children each had a pumpkin. They brought it to the high school student. The high school student did the chucking.
Yep.
I can't say enough about the high school kids.
They were great. And these are like life-size slingshots, right? So expect them where you
huge
have to
things.
stand on
Yeah.
either side. You'll see the video. And the young men and ladies are pulling the slingshot back, some of them sitting on the ground
Yes.
to get enough leverage
Yes.
to chuck that pumpkin all the way to the end of the back parking lot.
And I
So
dare say Halloween's a wonderful time for a 4-year-old, but I
Yes.
think this may be the memory so far this year for our children. So they enjoyed every second of it. We had told the children that there would be another pumpkin for them on Friday,
Right.
so they didn't feel like we were destroying them all. I want to thank all the folks here who helped clean up. I want to thank the kids up at the high school.
Did
I
a
want to
great
thank
job.
our teachers here. It was a very exciting day.
it was
at
a lot
Walnut
of fun.
Ridge.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And that's what it's all about, right?
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
part of it
Yes.
is, again, those connections. Last week was Red Ribbon Week, and there are so many outstanding things happening in the schools right now. Week of Respect. These are all the things that our school professionals, the principals, the
Sure.
teachers, are all talking about. You know, how do we treat each other? How do we form connections again in school? How do we become a community of learners? How do we place focus on academic integrity? All of these things are essential to kind of building our structure back to where it was pre-COVID. And we know that we're still facing the interruptions, but we're doing everything we can. Our teachers are working so incredibly hard,
Absolutely.
as well as our administrators, our school
Absolutely.
nurses, to try to bring everything back together in Vernon the way it was. And I know that's difficult, but we really are seeing these remarkable programs and tremendous efforts by so many people.
Ms. Davino, there's really that sense of we're doing this as a community this year, and
Yeah.
there's that sense of, boy, this is hard work, because we're really trying to recapture that excitement that
Yeah.
happens in buildings. I had a conversation with Dr. Stumper, who called over on Halloween that Friday, and he was very excited because almost all the students in Rolling Hills dressed up.
Wow.
And again, he saw that as an
Yeah.
indicator that we're returning to some sort of normalcy, or the excitement is back. And,
Yeah,
and
our
these are all the
attendance is
things.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
these are all the
yeah.
things that we've been talking about, and it's not easy.
Right.
It has not been easy on our teachers and not been easy on our administrators. So
Yeah.
kudos to all of them.
Absolutely. And we have one other item that's
Yes.
a really, really big one that I will tell you, last week when there were pumpkin chuckers last week, I went out to give Dr. McKay this news, and he actually jumped up and gave me a high five. So here's the history in Vernon. Everybody knows that over a span of about 6 years, we are considered one of the S2 districts. We lost $10 million in state aid. So what that has meant is a significant decrease each year. 2.1 million one year, 2.6, a million this year, 2.9, and it just has kept happening. And it really, really has been problematic. So this year, the state released a grant that we applied for, and it's called Stabilization Aid. So for the state of New Jersey, they only gave out $50 million, and Vernon got
We got $4 million
$4
of
million.
that money, $4 million and $70,000.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, we got almost 10% of the entire state budget. Now, there's 565 districts,
right.
and
Who
little old
qualified,
Vernon
yeah.
got $4 million. And it's an indicator of the amount of money that was cut from our budgets.
Absolutely.
It's an indicator of all the hard work that a couple of people in our
And that
central
was
office
you,
did.
so
Yes.
take some credit. It was Dr. McKay, and it was Mr. Gagliastro.
Right.
And Ms. Teresa Linsky, our school business administrator,
Absolutely.
right? So
And a couple people
yes.
in the office that had to do a lot of background work for us. Pat Braich did some work for us, and also Pam Kocher.
Yeah.
But a huge grant that we had to put in. I think it was difficult on purpose.
Yes.
A lot of work had to go into it, but what we established was the fact that through retirement and not replacing people in the last couple of years, that we've lost a significant amount of people.
Absolutely.
And that was
Yeah.
what we indicated in the grant, and the grant that has come through is larger than we could have ever hoped for.
Absolutely, yeah.
So once again, that idea of things returning to normal and things getting better.
Right.
I think for the first time in the last couple of months,
Yeah.
we're feeling that.
Yeah,
we're-
well, and $4 million will buoy how we're feeling, right?
Yes.
And remember, the importance of that money allows us to preserve programs. So
Absolutely.
if you move to Vernon, 5, 6, 7, or 10 years ago with the hopes of your child going through the high school and having diversity of programs, your child will have that.
those
Where at one
programs.
time, I didn't think we'd be able to say that to our taxpayers in our community, right? So preserving programs, looking at class sizes that really meet the same vision of like best practices for instruction, right? When you
And
have
that's
too
a
many-
huge
Yes.
piece to all this, which is the
Yeah.
class size, reducing the class sizes, and also holding on to the programs, because
Yeah.
I think we really predicted that there was going to be programs that would have to be shuttered, and I think with all of this, it will not have to happen.
Yeah,
So
yeah, which is great. Great news in
we
Vernon.
had great news.
We did.
Yeah.
Yep, so we just wanted to take a moment to reach out. We haven't had the opportunity to share good things. There are a lot of great things happening. I think you're right, Chuck. I think this sense of trying to return to some normalcy, we know that we're dealing with a lot. We know that, that there are things, so many things happening unpredictable, with the pandemic. But if we can manage to stay positive, right?
Yep.
And have these good things happening in our district, then they're really, really positive moves for our community.
Exactly. So it's the end of the first marking period. We want to encourage our students to do their very best in school.
Absolutely.
As we move forward. And to our teachers, thank you very much for all your hard work. To our administrators, thank you for keeping it all together. And I have to say to our superintendent, you're doing a great job.
Thanks, Dr. McKay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week, Vernon.